Welcome to the Self-Love Model. On this podcast, we have open-hearted and honest conversations about all things self-love and the journey of self-discovery. This podcast is for those on an everlasting journey of their own evolution, and most importantly, a safe space for us to heal together. I'm your host, Sid, and welcome to your self-love session. Oh, here we go again. It's been too long, you guys. Too long. Today's episode, I want to just jump straight into today's topic. And today's topic, as you guys can tell from the title, we're talking about the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. I feel like this is the space that I've been at for the majority of this year. So I really wanted to speak on my experiences from what it's been like being in this space and how we can close that gap between who we are now and who we want to become. Because you know that you're here. Okay, most likely if you're here, a part of this community with me, you most likely resonate a lot with me and my messages and who I am. And that means that you know that you're meant to do more and that you want more out of life, out of yourself. And a lot of times that requires us stepping into this next version of us, whatever that may be. But in your head, you might have this vision or this version of yourself that you can just see, that you know that you're destined to be, but right now you're not quite there yet. So today I want to talk about how we can begin to close the gap between who we are now to getting to where we want to become. And maybe you're already in that space, and this will just be something that maybe makes you feel slightly validated and seen, and sometimes that's really all we need in life, right? Okay, and also I am so sorry if you guys can hear my cats, because of course, as soon as I decide that I want to start filming, that's when they decide that they want to go crazy. We just love how that works, right? Like they've literally been so chill all day, just, taking their cat naps, chilling. And of course, as soon as I start setting up my camera, I'm like getting ready, they start like going crazy. So just don't mind them. They're just our little nice background noise for today. And I'm also not filming in my podcast space because I'm going to be honest, it's an absolute mess in there right now. And on top of that, the airflow in our house is not great. So my podcast room is one of the rooms that doesn't get great like airflow from the heat. So it's pretty cold in there, and I just don't really want to freeze the entire time. And look how cute our little Christmas tree is in the back. So I thought, let's get in the holiday spirit with the Christmas tree in the back. Like, she's cute, right? All right, back on topic. So I feel like the majority of this year I've been in this in-between space, and there's a lot of different names that we can call this space that I've been in. You can call it the void, the in-between, or just the gap. I don't know, but I feel like the void is one that I hear the most and the term that I personally use. So I'm gonna take you guys back, because the last time that I made an episode was probably back in, I want to say like end of August or beginning of September. And the reason why I made that episode was because I was having my first ever self-love party and I wanted to talk about it. But other than that, I think the last time I was really consistent in making a podcast was back in April, I would say. Like from January to April, I feel like there was like consistency there. But then, man, I gotta tell you guys, like life really just took me in so many twists and turns this year. It's truly been like a wild ride. And since April, I've just been going through a lot of different things, a lot of transitions, and I haven't been consistent with my podcasting. And that is for a reason, but I've decided I'm tired of my own excuses and it's time to get back to it. Okay, so we are back, baby, and I really hope that we are back for good. I truly feel like I've given myself long enough of a break and that it's time to come back. It's time to use that voice again. And I've been able to build this amazing community with you guys and I want to keep that going. And I feel like, yeah, I just feel like it's time. Okay. So back in April, okay, actually, I don't know if you guys, if this is your first time here, hello, hi, I'm Cindy. This is my podcast. Obviously, if you've listened this far, you know that. On this podcast, I talk about all things self-love because it is through self-love that I've been able to truly transform myself and my life. I've done a complete 180 change from my life and I've grown so much in the past 5-ish years. I would say that's how long I've been on this journey for now. And it's really been beautiful to like be able to reflect back and to just see how far I've come. And everything that I talk about in this podcast is through my own experiences, are things that I have learned and want to share with you guys. These are not just things that I'm learning on the internet. These are actually things that I've lived through and have learned on my own. So yeah, this is my podcast. We talk about self-love. If you guys are into that, growth. We're all about growth mindset and just woman empowerment. So if that's everything that you're about, welcome. This is your space, and I am so happy that you are here. So in the beginning of this year, I made an episode, the New Year, New Energy episode, which is so crazy because it feels like it wasn't even that long ago, but yet we're here at the end of the year now. So it's just like really crazy to think about how the year it's already gone by. And yeah, okay, hold on. I need a sip of my drink. Also, I don't know what my cats are doing, but I need to go check on them real fast because you guys know how cats be. They just be destroying shit. Hey! What are you guys doing? Huh? What are we doing? Huh? Oh, Lord. Okay, let's just leave the closet alone. Thank you. And let's just take a chill pill, let's go back to napping. Dude, I swear, having animals legit feels like having kids because they act like kids, Okay, we're back. But yeah, so at the beginning of the year, I have made this episode called New Year, New Energy, which if you guys haven't listened to it, I highly recommend since now it's a perfect time because in that episode, I talk a lot about how we can truly make changes and how to set ourselves up for success for the new year, which honestly, I'll probably take my own advice and listen back to that episode because I remember being really, really proud of that episode. So I feel like that's something I'm gonna need to re-listen to again myself to take my own advice. And also, it's been a minute since I've listened to my own episodes. And I feel like it'll be good to do so. I feel like it'll be a good little, good little exercise for me to do. Because when I first started the podcast, I would re-listen to my episodes after it comes out so many times because one, I was proud of it. Two, it just felt surreal. It's oh my gosh, that's me. I have a podcast type of thing, But then over time, I feel like the more I started to do it, the more that I almost felt like I was critiquing myself more, because I feel like there's one thing where when you first start something, right, it's like, that obviously you just started, you're not going to be that good at it. So I almost feel like in a way you're less hard on yourself. But then once you start, putting out more episodes, you're like, okay, now it's like you start really getting in your head more. And I felt like that's kind of how I started to become with my podcast. So I just would release an episode and not even listen to it afterwards, because I was like, I don't know that I want to listen to my voice again, especially after when you've like spent so long editing the episode that afterwards you're like, bro, like I cannot listen to my voice any longer. So I guess that was like another reason as well. But yeah, so I think it would be good for me to re-listen to it. And I think it'll be nice to like hear my voice from a year ago and to just see if I've like followed through with what I said on that podcast, and just to see the changes. So yeah, I think that's definitely something I plan on doing. But anyway, in that episode, I bring it up because I talked about, my goals and my intentions for the year and how I was going to make that happen. And I also talked about how entering this year, I was feeling a really different energy. I felt that this year was going to be different, that all the other years I was really focused on my healing journey and really working on myself. And entering this year was when I really felt like, I feel like I've spent all these years doing the work, and I feel like this year I'm really going to start to see it pay off. Like, I feel like this is a year where things are going to pop off, or something's going to happen. Like, I just could feel it. Like, something just felt different. So that's the energy that I entered in the year with. And I was really excited to see how this year was going to unfold. And with that being said, one of the biggest intention I had set for myself was that I really was craving deep, meaningful friendships. And I think that as we get older, this is something that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, is that you start to crave relationships that are past the surface level. People that, like, at least people that are in my circle, my inner circle, I want them to truly be people that I feel like I can lean on. Like, they're a part of my village and we're gonna do life together. So like, I just wanna be able to feel like I can lean on these people. I want to feel supported, and I want to be able to have the hard conversations, have deep conversations, and just, even with bartending, like, it's just a slow time. And I feel like it's a slow time for everyone. And that's how I always view winter as too. Like, winter is time for us to hibernate, to slow down, to reflect on the year, and to get ready for the upcoming year, because I like to live with the seasons. And that's also something that I talk about in that episode as well. So, January through March, we chilling. We are being good about staying on top of our goals. And comes April. April, I call it the reckoning. And I call it a reckoning because I feel like this is when shit started to hit the fan, or just when the plot twist started in my story for the year. Between those months, I really started to feel the shift. Like, I started to feel the shift was happening. Like I told you guys, I entered in the year really feeling like this year was going to be different, and really wanting different, and feeling myself like becoming this next version, whatever that may be, after spending all these years working on myself. And I started to feel the shift, and a lot of that shift I was feeling in my close friendships and my relationships. And I started to feel a lot of tension, a lot of resistance. And usually that happens when a relationship that we have is no longer in alignment. And as humans, something that we do is that we want to hold on to things. We want to hold on to people because that's just how we are, right? Like, it's hard for us to let go of things. And that was truly one of the biggest lessons I had to learn this year, was the art of truly letting go and making peace with whatever happens in our lives. So in April, I went to New York and I had a big falling out with someone who was really, really, really close to me. And going through that, I felt like April, that's when that happened. So I'm calling it the reckoning, because that's when I was like, oh shit, okay, this is actually happening now. And I think it's just hard when it's someone that you never think that you would stop being friends with, you've envisioned that person to be in your life. And I've had this happen multiple times in my life. Mango, get down. Okay. To where I've lost a lot of people on this journey. And when I very first started my healing journey, back in 2020, I ended a long-term relationship. And then I was going through this major transition in my life. And I had lost all my core people in my life at that point. And I remember starting over. I spent a good amount of time really just being on my own. And through that time in my life, I really learned a lot. I learned how to self-regulate, because I didn't have anyone to go to talk about my feelings. I didn't have anyone to help me fix them, because I was truly, for the first time ever in my life, alone. And I needed that. I needed that part of my life, because it really taught me a lot, living on my own for the first time, not having any family, people to lean on. I proved to myself that I could do that. And I grew a lot because of that. So after that, I started to, find myself again. I was able to become this new person. And in turn, I found new friends, new core people in my life. And I felt like I was kind of going through a similar thing again back in April, when I lost this really close friend. And because of that, I started to really distance myself from the people that were in my life. So yeah, that period was really hard, because it really reminded me of when I was first going through this 5 years ago. And I started to really feel like there was something wrong with me. I even started therapy, and I just felt like, why is this happening again? Oh my gosh, this must be a pattern that I am just repeating. Maybe I am the problem. I'm the common denominator in all these friendships that I've lost, And as much as when I started therapy, I kept telling myself, Cindy, just because we're doing therapy, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, because that's not what therapy means, right? And I kept telling myself that, but I think I still in the back of my mind had the belief that, oh, there's something wrong with me. I can't seem to hold these friendships, and this is happening again. And really just feeling maybe I'm just too, maybe I just have too much trauma. Maybe I just can't sustain for long-term relationships or friendships type of thing, I really genuinely started to feel that way. But then, after a couple sessions and after some more time, I would say the month of May was the month of healing for me. I went to therapy probably, I think, once a week or every other week, and really took that time to heal. And I truly feel like I was in this healing journey again, feeling all the feelings, crying it all out. So yeah, I would say May through August, that was just a lot of healing for me, especially. And then in June and August, that's when I feel like I entered the void. And I say this too, it's crazy. So as I was like kind of preparing for this episode, I was like, reflecting back on the year I've had and the things that I've like, all the things that I did. And in June, I actually did this music video for Riz Illuminated, which you guys should go check him out. The song's called Divinity, and I love that song, and I really resonate with the lyrics in that song. But I got to be a part of his music video, and in this song he really talks about entering the void. And it's crazy because I felt like a lot of things that happened this year for me, like everything was really on theme. And I say this now and it'll make more sense as I tell you guys more. But in June, I did this music video for him, and this music is basically about entering the void. And I felt like that's where I was at in the middle of the year. From May to August, I was in the void. I was just in this, I was like deep in this healing phase and like learning to really let go, because I knew that, those friendships that I had, like, it was time to go our separate ways, and like really learning to let go, allowing myself to process those emotions and surrendering and just trusting in God and knowing that, it'll get easier day by day, because I feel like the process of letting go of someone is that it doesn't happen overnight. It really does take time, and each day you might that person might pop up into your head. And I feel like each time that it does, maybe instead of just pushing it away, look at it and think about it, it popped up for a reason. And each time that it pops up, accept that you're still feeling those emotions, because it's through acceptance and feeling it all that we can get through the pain and truly let go. It's not by avoiding it. It's not by pushing it away. We just have to deal with it. And every time that those thoughts came up, I allowed them to surface. I looked at them and what they're trying to tell me, and I accepted what I was feeling, and I allowed myself to feel those emotions. And because I'm only human, I'm going to feel those emotions. So the more that I did that, each day that it happened, the easier it got. And slowly over time, I noticed that I stopped thinking about it as much anymore. And eventually I felt good. I felt fine. And I felt like I was really healing from it, And it was a really good feeling to have. So yeah, I would say, so after the month of August, in September, I feel like that's when things really started to turn around for me. It was in September. Because in September, I had my very first self-love party. So I felt like, April was the reckoning, was when shit hit the fan, things started to happen. I spent from May to August entering the void and really just healing on myself and slowing down. And then once September hit, I started really planning for this self-love party. And at the self-love party, I met Kazim, who has this beautiful installation called the Unbecoming. He is a filmmaker, and he has this, I believe, 7-part mini series talking about different emotions. And his work is so beautiful. You guys will have to check him out as well. And it was such a blessing to have met him. Him and I connected through another mutual friend who I was trying to get to work with me for the event. And his work just felt so in alignment with my work. And it's crazy because I just felt so first I entered the void with a music video, and then September comes. I basically had to unbecome all the old versions, all the old stories I had, because to become the next version of ourselves, in order to do that, we have to first unbecome. We have to unlearn any of the conditionings and beliefs that we had that made up who we were, and make new beliefs and reframe new beliefs about the version of ourselves that we want to become. So in September, I unbecame and really started to step into this next version of myself. So September was my unbecoming. This is where I had my first ever self-love party. And in order to have this self-love party, I had to let go of a lot of old beliefs about myself. Beliefs that told me that old beliefs to where I'm like, who's even gonna come to this? Is anyone even gonna show up? Like, who am I to even like have an event and all this stuff? Like, there was a lot of old beliefs that I had to look at. A lot of fears came up doing this, and I had to really step into this next version of myself to be able to even hold space to do something like that. So I just felt like it was so beautiful that Cosm and I aligned, and his installation was called the Unbecoming, because truly that's what it felt like I was going through in this phase of my life. And then come October, my favorite month of the year, my birthday month. Hello, fellow Libras. So yeah, October was my birthday, and this, I call it the becoming, because not only in this month did I turn 29, entering in the last year of my 20s, wild. I truly felt like this is when I really, really started to shift, and I was fully stepping into this next version of myself. And I also got to be in this fashion show called The Becoming. Now tell me that is not the craziest thing ever. The fact that in September, I had something called the Unbecoming. And then in October, I ended October with a fashion show called The Becoming, which all these have the same messages. So I just felt like the universe was literally sending all these people on my path. And these people essentially were vessels of God, and God was delivering his message through them. And whether you guys are religious or not, I'm a spiritual girly. So I really like to say that I'm more spiritual, that I'm spiritual and not religious. But I still believe in God, because I believe that there's a higher power. And whether you want to call it God, the universe, whatever it is that you want to call, I feel like at the end of the day, the beliefs all stems down to kind of like the same thing, right? But yeah, so truly I feel like October, that's when I was in this next version of myself. And I feel like since September, like things have just been boom, 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 like one thing after another type of thing. I've been able to do so many cool things this year. And truly, these are things that I really never thought I would do. Like, I did not have these things in my bingo cards at all. And then now we're in the month of November. I feel like things have just been like so insanely busy, but in the best way possible. I've had some really incredible opportunities, and I truly feel like since September, I've stepped into this new version of myself. And I feel like after being in the void for majority of this year, I truly feel like I'm on the other side now. And it feels incredible to have made it onto this other side. And even with me saying that, like, obviously this year is not over yet. I don't know what December is going to hold. Who knows? There could be more plot twists and turns that I don't even know that it's about to happen. But whatever it is, I know that I can handle it. Anything that comes in my way, because that's a belief that I have about myself. And yeah, that is pretty much how this year has been for me. I pretty much just gave you guys a really quick summary of my personal timeline this year, because this year has truly felt like everything's like in chapters, you know, like what I told you, I April was a reckoning. May to August was the healing, the void, being in the void. And then September was the unbecoming. October was the becoming. And now we are just living our best lives. With all that being said, something that I want to quickly circle back to is the losing people part, because I felt like there was more that I wanted to touch on that. Especially because I did kind of mention how when I was like really going through it, I was like feeling like that I was the problem, right? And, you know, after really taking the time to heal and stuff, I realized that, you know, no, I am not the problem. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that I didn't take accountability for what I did. It's a two-way street, you know, like I always say, the people in our lives are a direct reflection of us. Like people in our lives, they're simply a mirror to us. There's a reason why we attract certain people into our lives. And it's usually because they're showing us something that needs to be seen about ourselves. And, you know, since coming out of those relationships, I've been able to see a lot of myself in those people. And I can understand why those people were in my lives and the lessons that they taught me. And I think as someone who is on this path of constant evolution, I am always recreating myself. That I feel that it is a part of my path to lose friendships and lose people. Not saying that I don't want to maintain long-term relationships. I do, and I would love that. And I really hope that the friendships and the relationships that I have created in this version, in this season of my life, are long-lasting. But I think that I've learned through this journey is that nothing is permanent. Even losing people, the people that you lose, that's not permanent. You never know, they could come back into our lives. I feel like that's something I've also really learned, is that the people that I lost 5 years ago have now slowly started to re-enter my life as well. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and that is all part of the human experiences. We learn, we grow, and sometimes we grow apart, and that's okay, you know? I feel like when time is right, you will align with each other again, and I truly believe that. Now that I've caught you all up in what has happened in my life this year, let's talk about how we can begin to close the gap between who we are now and who we are becoming. Because if you guys have been in that space, or if you're currently in that space, I would love to give you a couple tips, or actually just like what I'm actually currently practicing in my life to really end this year on a good note and to like fully become her. All right? Because we are her. Was that cringe? I don't know. I feel like half the shit I do is cringe, but you just gotta own it. You know what I'm saying? But right now, what I am doing to really close the gap between who I was and who I am now is by building my habits. They say that our habits are like the building blocks of like truly what will make the difference is by like the little things that we do in our everyday lives. So something that Chris and I have really started to do is actually just like making our bed first thing in the morning, which that seems like such a simple task, but I'm gonna be so real. We really didn't start doing that until, I want to say maybe a couple months ago. We really started to like actually do that every morning, and it's been really great. Like for the first time in my life, guys, I actually have a clean room. I feel like for my entire life, like my room has always been my biggest downfall. Like I'll keep the rest of the house decently clean, you know, like I can do that. But when it comes to my room, like ever since I was a kid, it's always been so hard, guys. It's the clothes, okay? It's the clothes for me. Like, especially when I'm trying to go out and like trying to put on an outfit. Like, I like freaking create a tornado in my room and I like go through 10 outfits and like there just ends up being clothes everywhere. And then you guys know me, I'm a busy girl. So like I just be throwing shit everywhere, okay? And I'm like out the house, gotta go on to the next thing type of thing, you know? But right now I'm really trying to like work on that because I'm like, Cindy, clothes do not belong on the floor, okay? Like let's just like put it in the basket, or if anything, I've been like putting it on my bed, and then at the end of the night I like either just throw it in my basket or put it away. Like I just, right now my biggest thing is I don't want to put any clothes on the floor. Like floor is off limits for clothes. So that's what I've been working on right now. It's just by implementing those little habits, because like the version that I'm trying to become, like she is not putting her clothes on the ground, okay? Like she has a clean room, like she has a morning routine. Eventually she'll have a night routine. She doesn't have that yet. But yeah, really just starting small. And when I lived on my own, I actually was able to like build up good habits. Like I was making my bed every day, but not gonna lie, when I moved in with Chris, like we started living together, it definitely became a little bit harder to maintain some of the good habits I have, especially when your partner is not doing those habits and you're just not on the same page about things, that it can make it really hard, versus when you're living on your own and you have your own space and you can follow through with your own rules. I feel like sometimes like, you know, we're a product of our environment and the people that we surround ourselves with. So it did become kind of hard when I'm, you know, living with a partner and they're not really on the same page about habits. But luckily, we've been able to get on the same page, and he's finally jumped on board on the whole making our bed in the morning. That was actually one thing we like argued on before, but thank God he understands it now. I truly feel like it makes a difference. Like just, it's been so amazing, like having a clean room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we can like actually get like cute furniture in our room, because like we can actually maintain a clean room. So it just feels like it's worth like investing in, you know? And I'm like, ooh, who is she? We're becoming an adult now that we're in the last year of my 20s. So yeah, for me, the way that I've been closing that gap right now is just really implementing those little habits. So whatever little habit in your life that you know that you need to change, I would say like always start small. The biggest problem that a lot of us deal with, and I talk about a lot of this stuff actually in the New Year, New Energy episode, just like when we're setting goals, like we like in order to set ourselves up for success is by making it as easy as possible. Like literally make it something so simple. So for me right now, like for this month, like we literally have a calendar and I put a check mark each day, and I'm like, I want to be able to follow through on this goal for 30 days. Once I've been able to do it for 30 days, I am going to build onto that habit, and whatever the next habit may be, I'm still trying to think, but then we'll continue to do that and continue to build onto it. And this is what we call the compound effect. It's by starting small, but then each time we build onto it, and over time it compounds. It's the same thing, like you're saving $1. Maybe you're gonna quit buying coffee, like Starbucks. Like it may seem small, but in a year you're saving yourself a lot of money, type of thing. And there's also a book called The Compound Effect. If you guys are really interested in this topic and want to learn more about it, highly recommend. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, is just building up little habits. And I just want to really like put in the repetitions until this just becomes like who I am. I am someone that always picks up my clothes. Right now, that's not my identity yet, but I am building up that identity to become that version of myself. And if building up habits is something that you find really hard to do, and that you've realized that you might be really good at it for a day or two or even a week. I feel like usually like I can build a habit for a week, but then it's like you get to that period where it's like, because when you first start, you're excited, but then after a couple days or a week, you kind of get bored and then you like go back to your old ways type of thing. So I find that something that's been helping me this time around is getting Chris to be a part of this. So he's essentially my accountability partner. Like him and I were keeping each other accountable. And there's something about like me wanting to make sure he does it that like almost motivates me to want to like really follow through with it more. So I love that him and I have decided to do this together, like to want to be better together. And I feel like that is like such key to a healthy relationship, is like growing with your partner. And if you guys are single, you don't have a partner, that's okay. Maybe find like a close friend or a sibling, someone who you think would be open to doing that with you, and just keeping each other accountable. And that's the same thing with if you're wanting to get into the gym and start working out, finding an accountability partner to start, so that way you're not doing it alone. Sometimes having someone to do it with you can feel less scary. So yeah, that's really all that I have for this episode. I just really wanted to talk about building up habits, because I feel like that is key to becoming the version of you. I would say like, just visualize the version of yourself that you want to be. This is like a good exercise, okay? So visualize the version of yourself you want to be. Who she is, how she dresses, the vibe that she is, the energy that she has, the habits that she has. Visualize who she is and start showing up as her. This has been like a huge thing for me my entire life. Like I've always been a big visualization person, and I love to manifest. So yeah, like this life that I have now, I manifested this shit, okay? Like I created this life. This was all by my own design in co-creation with the universe, of course. So yeah, wow guys, it feels so good to be back. I've like been really missing this a lot, but I keep like holding myself back. I'm like, no, like I need to get this new equipment. I need to do this. I should like rebrand everything. I should just like start everything over. I need to have like a full concept. I need to have all my episodes ready. Like, it's like I was holding myself back. I was like, I need to have all this before I can start getting back on the podcast train. You know what I'm saying? But like, no, it's really not that complicated. Just freaking grab the camera, look cute, know what you want to talk about, and hit record. And here we are. So if you guys have made it to the end, thank you so much for being here with me. Like, it feels so good to be back, even if there's only like 10 of you guys that listen, or more. I don't know. I feel like it's been a while though. So hopefully I have not lost all my listeners, but you guys that are here, I know you guys are the real ones, and I love you guys so much. I am going to quickly do an outro though, because I'm really bad about doing outros and I'm trying to be better. Okay, so if you're listening to this right now and you feel like you're somewhere in that gap, somewhere in the in-between, somewhere in the void where nothing makes sense yet, I just want you to know that you're not behind, you're not broken, and you're not lost. You're simply becoming. But when you look back a year from now, like what I am doing, you're going to see how it all just makes sense. Like the way I explained it to you, everything will make sense. And along the way, I've been able to find these beautiful, meaningful friendships and create these new relationships to where I truly feel supported, I feel seen, and they feel in alignment with who I am now. So if you're in that phase where you feel alone, you're in the void, I hope that with my story and what I've been through, that you can see that there is hope, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that you will find your people and you will find your way. So keep going, keep showing up, because one day without realizing, you're going to realize that you've become the version of yourself that you've always prayed for. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast from, and make sure you share this episode with a friend, because we're trying to grow this community, because there will be more events coming, and I would love to just continue to grow this community because we have some of the most beautiful people inside and out in this community. And I just want you all to meet each other and to experience what it's like being in a community where you feel uplifted, supported, and seen. And share this on your story, please and thank you. And with that being said, I love you guys and I am so proud of who you're becoming. Bye! Until next time, this is the Self-Love Model.